welcome back to our NUTS series, NetUtils Talks Security. I'm Malcolm Orekoya from NetUtils, and I'm joined again today by JP from our security partner, SKOUT, as well as Kevin Williams, also from SKOUT. Hello guys, how are you guys?
Malcolm, we're great, thank you. And thanks again for inviting us onto this series, so it's much appreciated.
Yeah, thank you, Malcolm.
You're welcome, you're welcome. So today, everyone, we're going to be talking about business email compromise. Most people out there know it as phishing. Essentially, a method of people sending emails that are trying to entice you to put in your credentials in most cases in order for them to then use those credentials for malicious activities. This is nothing new. It's been around for years, but being in the cybersecurity industry for many years now, I think everyone here has definitely seen the growth in phishing and how it's evolved over the years. I remember several years ago when it was fairly easy to detect some of these business email compromise emails that came through, because even basic things like the grammar and the language was so easy to detect. But nowadays, not only has it grown and evolved in terms of the grammar and the language, but from a pictorial point of view and an HTML email type point of view, it's very convincing. You get loads of phishing emails that look so similar to the original emails that you would get from legitimate companies that it's extremely difficult for you to spot, which ones are actually real and which ones are not. So nowadays, I always think that the user or the customer is always more in a deny first scenario, a bit like a default position for a firewall. So just don't click on anything by default unless you explicitly know where that email is coming from or you've verified it, similar to having a deny first on a firewall and explicitly allowing only the traffic that you know. So JP, what are you guys seeing in SKOUT and in the SOC world with regards to business email compromise?
Well, no, it's interesting, Malcolm, listening to you as well. I guess when I think back, certainly when I was younger, phishing was something else that we really enjoyed doing. It was a different type of thing we did when we were younger, went fishing, but it's certainly changed now. So when you hear the term, it's more about bad actors compromising, your business. And look, once again, Malcolm, I want to thank you very much for inviting us on. Like anywhere we can help small to medium businesses shine a little bit of light on subjects like this, it's more than welcome. Then I think things like phishing, business email compromise, as it's also known, but that related fraud is really far reaching in terms of the consequences for small to medium businesses. And I guess not only can your business be harmed by successful attacks in these cases, but your companies that you do business with can also be damaged, and there's that whole reputational damage that sort of knocks on, and we see that all the time. It's very difficult for IT teams as well. So again, managed service providers like yourselves or internal IT to deal with them. But what we're really seeing, I guess, the most common types really focus around scams that are generally focused around invoice redirection or payment fraud. Actually, Kevin is going to walk through how that happens in the background in a moment. But the statistics, I mean, look, anybody on this call can go and look up statistics linked to cybersecurity in general, linked to business email compromise, phishing. It's pervasive, to say the least. It's really accelerated. I think we were chatting earlier about COVID and work from home. That's accelerated all of these trends, and that's including the amount we're seeing, so the quantity. And security operations centers certainly have seen a huge marked increase around that. But then also the amount of in terms of dollar amount or pound amount that's been transferred. So it's nearly doubled actually in the last 12 months in terms of the average amount that's been at risk. So
yeah, one of the things as well that I was going to say, in addition to what you were talking about there, is the types of phishing emails that we're getting now have also evolved away from the usual platform, which is email, right? Yeah. So I know we talk about phishing, and most of the time we're talking about email. So hence the topic of today, business email compromise. But actually, it's worth noting that over the last few years, a lot of that malicious content has actually moved to other platforms such as SMS and even sort of texting portals like sort of Signal or WhatsApp and the like. So it's actually not just all focused on email as well.
It's more sophisticated. For sure, and I heard you speaking about it earlier, that what we were used to seeing a number of years ago, but certainly more sophisticated. So it's very, very important that companies take a proactive approach. But regardless, what we're also seeing, I guess, from a security operating center standpoint and within the threat landscape in general, the moment in time, Malcolm, from when these bad actors execute something on an email or whatever platform, it actually takes a long time before it's identified or you have a problem. The average length of time in the UK now from when something happens to when you know about it is around 200 days. So it's a long time. Kevin's going to touch on it in a second, but for example, if your email is compromised, quite often what we see is where they set up a auto forwarding rule within that email account. So that means when you get an email in, it automatically gets forwarded to a bad actor. And again, the average length of time from when that action of creating the forwarding rule happens to when you know about it is it's actually 197 days on average, so 200 days. So that's the key piece that we're seeing, I guess, within the threat landscape. But Kevin, it might be good if you wouldn't mind, I guess, with that context, a little bit around maybe what you're going to show. I know you're going to share your screen in a moment, but in terms of what happens, particularly when you look at business email compromise, I'm going to hand over to you. That'd be great.
Yeah, thanks, JP. From the business email compromise side, attackers have the ability to gather tools from the web and utilize these tools to basically simulate login pages. They'll send out links that essentially would look as if you are logging into your Twitter, your Instagram, your Windows account. But in reality, you're actually just giving your credentials away to some malicious attacker. And so once they have these credentials, that's when you see these types of attacks happen, in a blink of an eye, right? And that's really the key aspect of this, the fact that if you don't have the right tools in place to protect yourself, this can happen within minutes. So here, to kind of give you an example of what we've got here on screen, on the left-hand side, we've got a tool called Zphisher, which again is giving the attacker options as far as what they could actually utilize to simulate a specific login page. In this case, we're going to go ahead and go for Microsoft. Now, once we have the Microsoft link generated, you'll see on the right-hand side is the email that the attacker is using to basically send that over to the victim with the link under where you see verify your identity. And the importance of that is just they want to make sure that that link is live, and they're going to keep Zphisher open in the background so that it's live when the user actually makes the mistake in giving away those credentials. So we've now sent off that email. We're now looking at the victim's perspective, and they go ahead and get that email. And without looking at it too clearly, you're able to kind of see that they've clicked on it. And they're not necessarily paying attention where it's coming from. They're just paying attention to the big kind of words on the screen. Hey, this is something that you have to do immediately. So it's clicked on. They're brought to what they think is a Microsoft login page. So they start filling in their username and password. And in doing so, this is actually what's given away, the credentials right here and there. So in hitting sign in, that's what sends them off, right? So we now switch over to the perspective of the attacker, and you'll see that we do actually have those credentials, and it doesn't stop there now. So now we have to verify that as the attacker, we can log in to the actual user's account. The email is already pre-populated. Now it's really just a matter of pasting in that password. Once we've got that there, we're in the account. So once we're in the account, it's a matter, just like JP said, we're setting up those forwarding rules so that the specific information that the attacker is looking for gets sent back to the original AOL account that sent the malicious email to begin with. So the first thing that the attacker is going to do is name it something inconspicuous, something that the user is not going to pay attention to too much. The next thing that they're going to do is focus on a condition, such as anything that the subject includes a wire transfer. And then once we have all that, the last aspect of it is just making sure, okay, do we have the right email that we're actually forwarding this information to? And in this case, that email is going to be the original AOL account that we used to craft and send the malicious email to the victim. So once we really have all those three key aspects in place, that's where we would go ahead and save this rule, and it would really just come down to the waiting game. Everything is saved, everything is input properly, it's saved, and you're really just waiting for the email to come through, and the victim has no idea this is actually happening. So when you switch gears, you're able to see that the victim, they actually do get the email for the wire transfer. But if we switch gears and look at the attacker's perspective, you can see clear as day that the attacker, they too have that email. So it didn't take too long. The victim didn't necessarily have the right tools in place, and ultimately it was something that can be avoided by getting the proper not only education, of course, when it comes to cybersecurity training, but at the same time having those right tools really makes a big difference in someone automatically clicking a link like that versus someone actually looking around and digging through to make sure that it isn't something that should be investigated further, at least from the user's perspective.
Yeah, and it's very key there, Kevin, what you said about having the right tools, because there's so many aspects of that demo that you just showed that as someone working in the cybersecurity industry, we can see several different places where some sort of detection could have been made on that malicious attempt. So introducing things like basic, for example, like multi-factor authentication for the initial logins, which can be done via several vendors and via several mechanisms, such as SMSs or hardware phone devices or hardware dongle devices, etc. for logging in would be one. You have several platforms out there that can monitor your login into your SaaS applications and also into like on-premise applications. You have many vendors and solutions on there that do behavioral analytics to figure out, why is there a sudden access from a country that maybe Malcolm's not usually accessing his emails from. Because the other thing that is not highlighted in that demo is you don't actually know geographically where that hacker is coming from. They could be in the same country as you, but they could also be in a different country. And if they have your credentials and they're logging in from a different location and you have the right tools in place to monitor that kind of thing, then you would actually get an alert, either via your SOC or via your IT team if they're managing it internally. And there are so many tools out there, from basic ones to advanced SOC analytics and behavioral systems that can help customers. So it's about starting from the basics and understanding that there's no one size or one fix for the entire thing. You can't just say, oh, let's put multi-factor authentication in place and that's it. Business email compromise is sorted, let's move on to the next thing. There's not going to be just one thing. You might have to put 2-3 different things just to deal with business email compromise. But in addition to that, you still have to have that defense in depth concept, always in your enterprise. So looking at protecting the endpoints, protecting the credentials, protecting the data and wherever it rests, and that sort of stuff.
That's just a great point, Malcolm, for anyone that's listening in. You know, take a proactive stance and a layered approach. That's how we would look at it also. But again, I think, Malcolm, you know, maybe for what we're definitely seeing now is particularly the back end of last year into this year, a marked rise in particularly business email compromise. So for any company, I think don't wait, like take that proactive approach for sure. And then I think the other important aspect we see is pick a partner, like NetUtils and or whoever your partner is, but making sure that you have someone that'll guide you along the way. You know, as you just said, Malcolm, like take that layered approach. You know, somebody that can guide businesses through all of that, and just stopping those bad actors opening their door, really.
Yeah, absolutely. That was really brilliant, Kevin. Thanks very much. I'm going to finish off by just saying one of the things in that demo that should have been highlighted to everyone is how long a bad actor can actually sit within your network without you knowing, waiting for something that they have triggered to actually happen. Now, obviously, it's a short demo, 15 minutes or whatever, so everything happened in real time, but that forwarding rule could have been there for 6 months, 18 months, 12 months, whatever, and that applies across many parts of the network. A malicious user can get into the network and be very, very patient, waiting for what they want to see to happen. Because at the end of the day, like JP said, the monetary value in terms of what they get back has gone up quite a lot in recent years. So they're very patient nowadays. So hopefully that's been very informative for everyone. We like to keep it nice and short and sweet, sort of close to 15 minutes or so on the Nut series. So hopefully that was useful. Thank you very much, Kevin and JP, for joining me again on this episode. Hopefully you join us again, Kevin, on another one. Definitely, I'll see you again, JP, on the next one, likely. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and we'll see you soon. Thanks. Bye.